After you've been on a fantastic tour with me, with Wairarapa Undiscovered, and you've got one day left in Wellington before your flight and you want some things to do, here's my suggestions. This is the Beehive, New Zealand's Parliament building, and it was opened by Queen Elizabeth in 1979. It's where the politicians go into debate. It has a swimming pool and a gym also inside. But one fun fact, it was designed by a British architect called Sir Basil Spence, and he sketched this design on a cocktail napkin that when he was inside a restaurant. So you can get a tour through here, you pre-book it, doesn't cost you anything. You're not allowed cell phones or bags inside, but it's a well worth tour. Beautiful architecture outside and inside. And just giving you a quick look at the grounds, this is the old Parliament buildings. Just really nice place to come and explore. Just before we leave Parliament grounds, I'd just like the opportunity to point out this beautiful tree here. This is New Zealand's Christmas tree. It's called Pahutakawa. Pahutakawa means well sprayed by seawater in Maori, and it was mostly found around New Zealand's coastlines. When it come to building ships out of timber, it was one of the few woods they found in New Zealand that would not get seaworm. And during Christmas time it flowers a beautiful crimson red colour. Also like to point out, if you see these bits hanging down, they are called epipipes, and it helps the tree take in extra moisture and oxygen. Also in its day, these epipipes were called widowmakers because they're extremely heavy, and if it fell on your head, there's a good chance that you would die. Okay, this is the second thing that I highly recommend, is visiting the National Library of New Zealand. And we're going to go inside and have a look at one of New Zealand's most important documents ever signed, and that's the Treaty of Waitangi, signed in 1840 by the tribes of New Zealand. I highly recommend doing it, and a lot of people that live in Wellington and people around New Zealand have never been in and don't realise you can take a look at the original treaty. So this is inside the National Library of New Zealand. This is the Treaty of Waitangi, and it was signed in 1840. You can see it's in parts, and that's because after it got signed in 1840, it got stored in bad conditions and part of it rotted. Also, it's written on animal skin, and rats found it very tasty to chew on other than paper. So this is one, it doesn't cost you nothing to go in the National Library of New Zealand. Do come in here, it's fantastic to view. I highly recommend it. So this is where I recommend to get something to eat. This is close to Parliament buildings and also the National Library. This is called Backbenchers Pub. And it's backbenchers is a word for politicians that don't make being ministers of our parliament. One thing I like about the Backbenchers Pub, it has puppets of our politicians. This is Christopher Luxon, our Prime Minister of the National Party in New Zealand. This is Winston Peters, who was the leader of New Zealand First Party. This is Heather du Plessis-Allen, who is a political reporter, and of course David Seymour, who is a politician. And Jacinda Ardern, who was Prime Minister and leader of the New Zealand Labour Party. So this is Backbenchers Pub. You quite often see members of Parliament eating and drinking in here also, and great food and nice drink. Come to Backbenchers. This is the last thing I'm going to show you in the video, Say you're at Wellington Airport, you've checked your bags in just to find your flight's going to be delayed a few hours. This is what I highly recommend. This is a quirky tunnel that goes underneath the runway of the Wellington Airport, and you can go in here and it's a shortcut to Lyle Bay. It's a beautiful surf beach. You can walk along, you can go to the shops, nice eateries, get a drink there. So remember the tunnel that goes underneath the Wellington Airport. I hope this all helps. If you've got time in Wellington, you've already been on a fantastic trip with me and you want something else, all these things I've shown you don't cost anything. Please subscribe to my site too, Wairarapa Undiscovered, and have a look at my website, and you can subscribe to my YouTube channel through that website also. Thank you. Have a good trip home.